This is the part you guys have been waiting for. Professor Mark Matthews is going to come up here and get to say what he has to say. Again, I just want you to know I'm going to end it on a good note. I love you, man.
I can't see over the top of it. And so he takes me in the other room, and you know what? There's a button on there. They call it the Matthews button. And I can push, and it will lower. I didn't think I had any clout here, and apparently I do. Now, I got to correct just a couple of things that were said. I haven't actually counted all the hairs in my head because when I start to tear up, I can't keep track of what's going on. So, no, I really haven't counted. What I do instead is I count the ones that are on my pillow in the morning. And that's just, it's much easier, and I figure the time that I save from doing that helps, because then I can prepare more for what I'm going to do to insult these guys when it comes grading time. The ultimate rebuttal. But I do want to tell you, I did have, this year was unusual because I had 2 different classes, 2 different sections for first-year students. So I was really excited to be able to come in and meet so many of them. Got to meet quite a few before school even started. And I did come in, and I had a student who was actually in class. You may recognize Stefan. He was sitting there in class early. He was wearing a lavender shirt, okay, but he's dressed nicely, sitting in the front row. He's smiling up at me, and he says, "Are you Professor Matthews?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, I'm in your class, and I'm just so excited to be here, and I hope that I won't disappoint you." And I did feel bad, but I had to tell him it was too late. It's kind of gone downhill since then. So, And I want to correct also, it wasn't me at Disneyland. I'm glad you made that clarification. That is absolutely true. The only ones that I ever threatened to murder are my own children. Okay? So if you're not among them, I have a little trouble keeping track of which one is which. And so I started to just kind of get a combination name, because I figure at some point it's going to work. So it's Henry Jekyll, and then somebody in the range is going to say that that must be them, and they'll stop whatever they're doing. And a few of you have had the chance to come and have dinner at my house. I had a few of you come over for Thanksgiving. And you know the conversation, how it basically went, with me saying, "Knock it off. Knock it off. Knock it. Put it down. Stop. Stop. Quiet. Quiet." That's my conversation at dinner. And so when people talk about wanting to have office hours, I think maybe you understand why I'm available for office hours. I'd love to help, honey. I've got to go to the office. I'm sorry. And so it makes it much, much easier to be able to do that. Now, I got to tell you something about Cyrus, just by the way. He said that we had this connection. If any of you went to the PILF auction, I see him at the PILF auction, and he's carrying 6 different beverages. He claims they're not all his. He's already got stuff spilled on him from apparently the 6 prior drinks. And then he comes to talk to me, and he's talking to me like this. And he's standing on this angle. And I don't know what to do, because I'm thinking maybe I should lean the other way to help. Or if I lean the same way, is that going to be too much and it's going to topple him? And you know, I admit I am obsessive compulsive. I'm trying to figure out what angle he's really standing on. And when he started hitting on my wife, I thought that was a little awkward. Now, I don't blame him, you know. But when I go home and she keeps saying, you know, I feel like I need to wash my hands. I got to just point out, you maybe wouldn't have recognized me when I walked in tonight. Because I'm not wearing a white shirt or a tie, and I had some difficulty because I wanted to come, I wanted to look pretty sharp. And so what I did first is I went home and I got ready, and I put my hair into a faux hawk. And I came out and I asked the kids, okay, what do you think? And of course Rachel, who can only be honest, said, you still don't look as good as Professor Heilman. And so I said, okay. And so I put the hair back, I plastered it into place. The few that I got, I count the ones in the comb. I get a little bit more ready and try, maybe I try, okay, I've got a brown suit. So I thought I'd put on the brown suit and maybe like with a sweater. And I put that on and I walk out and say, okay, now how do I look? And Julie, my wife, says, well, you know, you won't look as good as Professor Heilman. And that actually is no joke. I cannot tell you how many times she said, well, yeah, that looks nice, but Professor Heilman really dresses a lot nicer than you. Yes, I know, thank you. And so I finally decide at least to get the chance, because when I did give the attorney advice about how you should dress in court, and I think most of you have heard that, for the guys, I want you to look like Mormon missionaries. That's the way you should dress. I say that, and then I get one person this semester that raises their hand and asks if lavender would be okay for court. He was serious. Lavender in court? You know, if after you won the trial, then you can take off the white shirt. Until then, but I wanted you to see that I actually did do this, and if you notice, the button is unbuttoned. I do want to tell you, just in closing, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Whittier is so much fun, and it's not administration. I hate those guys. It's not grading. Grading is the worst thing, and I have often heard professors that say that they actually teach for free. They have to be paid to grade. That's the bad part. But it is so much fun to be with you guys. When I got you in class and we're talking about something and you're struggling over something, and to see the expressions when you get what it is I'm talking about. And actually the expressions when you're not getting it are pretty funny too. I try not to laugh out loud for those. But when I see it starting to click, or you come into my office and you're struggling with whatever it is, and all of a sudden something comes together and you're excited about it. That's what makes this all worthwhile. It is so much fun. Because like I tell everyone at the beginning of my class, I want you to do well in my class. I want you to pass the bar. But most importantly, I want you to be great attorneys. You guys are going to be great attorneys. And I am glad that I get the opportunity to be with you. Thank you.